And we are recording now.
Great. Did you want to do a little?
Yeah,
spiel?
so this is our, I think our fourth official time together, and this is our third Pow-HER-Hour session. So I kicked us off last Monday talking about mental fitness and how you can use mental fitness to help build some muscle in your brains to really help in struggling times like we are right now. On Monday, I unfortunately couldn't be part of it, but we had an awesome session on interview prep, and very excited for Beryl to be talking with us today on how to not feel stuck and take command of your job search. Oh, actually, no. And last Wednesday, if nobody has watched, Katie Fogarty gave an amazing session on LinkedIn and how to update your LinkedIn profile. So 2 sessions are currently up on the Connect for Women website that you are welcome to watch. We might be doing an encore session on what NECPEN presented on Monday. And again, we'll have a survey at the end of today that not only asks for feedback on what Beryl is presenting today, but any other additional topics that you are interested in. And Jen just updated the website to include a list of the entire calendar, and that's where you can RSVP to each one of these sessions as well. We even had a couple additions, so I think now we have 19 total sessions between last Monday and the end of March. So a lot of great opportunities, a lot of great free learning opportunities for you all, which very, very exciting. But I think, Beryl, you can jump in.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Julie, and a major shout out to Julie and to Jen for bringing us all together, bringing this program, bringing Connect for Women to life, to be able to help all of us in some way or another. And I'm here to help all of you job searchers to take a different look at your job search and find.
I will mute.
Yes. I'm going to stop for a minute while we. Okay.
There we go.
All right, great. So we are going to give you an opportunity to unmute yourself and ask questions towards the end, as Julie mentioned. But before I got static, I just wanted to thank Julie for putting this whole series together, and Jen for sharing your passion of connecting with all of us. And you are an amazing role model for all of us. And I look forward to continuing to hone my connecting skills through watching you. So thank you so much. A little bit about today. I do want it to be a more interactive experience. We're going to be talking to each other via the chat for the majority of our time together. And like I said at the end, I'm going to open it up, and I hope that you will ask real life questions and we can hear each other's voices and have a fruitful discussion. I'm going to share with you 3 perspectives that I see quite often with job searchers. We're going to talk about the stuck perspective, and then we're going to talk about a more commanding, positive, empowering type of discussion. And we'll wrap it up with some next steps. So first, to get you all going, is I would love to hear from you in the chat. When you want to change something in your job search, which it's kind of what you're all here for, I think, what do you typically do? What's the thing that you do when you want to change something? Do you go and rewrite your resume, change up the alerts on the job boards, stalk LinkedIn, brush up on your interviewing skills, call everyone you know and tell them you're looking, or the fan favorite, binge watch? So all of the above, different alerts, binge watching, scrolling, giving up. Thank you for admitting that. We'll be talking about the giving up. Target list, rewrite, talk to people, great. New searches, new sites, stock, great. So thank you for sharing about that and what I analyze, what the issue may be and work to improve that. You're great. I love that, Melissa, that you're really taking a look at what's going on and how you want to switch it up. And what we're going to talk about today are different ways to switch it up. And what I'm noticing with all these actions is that they are actions and they're coming from a perspective of I'm stuck, I need to do something, so I'm just going to get into action. Many of us have that tendency to just let's go do. And sometimes that isn't the best path to making change. And so I have kind of a radical premise to share with you today to consider. And we're going to dive into this throughout our time together today. And that radical premise is the key to getting unstuck is really in your mind. It's in your head. So all of these actions that you've been taking are coming from a perspective you've got going on in your head. It's a mindset that you've adopted and it's causing you to take certain actions. And what I'd love to help you uncover is what's a different way to look at your job search or what's going on for you that might lead to some different actions. So it sounds like kind of a touchy-feely out there premise, but hopefully by the time we're done, you'll have some real specific ways that you can adopt a new mindset. So I'm first going to introduce myself through my story of going from stuck in a mindset to having more command. So like many of you, I started my career at an advertising agency and I loved it. I rose through the ranks. I made great friends. I did awesome work. I got to do really cool things and travel to great places. I loved my work. Problem was, hated my life because I didn't have one. And I was so stuck. I kept trying to figure out how can I work, having a life outside of work into my work? How can I fit that in? That was my perspective. And I couldn't figure out how to do that until I realized, oh, I have to look at this in a totally different way. I can't just fit in a life with my work. I've got to take a bigger view and say, how can I create a work and a life that I love so that I can have both? And so I became an executive recruiter. And there are some of you on this call who experienced my executive recruiting magic. And life was good. I had a great impact with my clients. I got a life within a year. I was married. I had 3 kids. I had flexibility to be present for my work and for my kids, get involved in my community. So things were great until they weren't. After many years, the role of recruiting changed and I didn't like it so much. And I had to figure out what else I could do. And I was stuck again. And so then I took another, I named my stuckness and I said, well, what else can I do? And my stuck feeling was, I'm a recruiter. That's all I know how to do. And that wasn't true. I opened it up and started talking to people. And I discovered this thing called coaching. And it happened through discussions with people. I didn't even know coaching existed. And a light bulb went off and I said, oh, I can get paid to do that? That's what I do every day. That's the part I love. And when I adopted that different perspective, I was off and running. There were a lot of other stuck moments along the way, but those are a few examples of how I've gone from stuck to command by switching up my perspective. So now, fast forward 12 years later, I am a solopreneur. I support high-performing women in advertising and marketing who feel stuck in their career to create a crystal clear direction for your job search, your leadership, and your family without feeling guilty or stress. So with that example, those examples in mind, I'd like to present to you 3 different perspectives that might be operating for you, that you can acknowledge the stuck place, and then I will offer up an alternative perspective that will help you perhaps get unstuck. My goal here is not for you to adopt all 3 of these. That would be awesome, but that's also quite a big ask. What I hope you can do throughout this is just see what resonates with you. And at the end, I'm going to ask you to pick one, because we're all in a different place and we're all different people. And maybe there's just one new perspective that will resonate with you that you might like to try on. Okay, I was just checking the chat. Julie, will you let me know if there's anything there I need to know? Thank you.
Will do.
Much. So drum roll, please. The first perspective that I see quite often in my coaching practice is I can do that. I can do that is let's just throw everything I know how to do out there and let's see what sticks. Okay, it's looking at all the various things we know how to do and just apply, or look for all those different things. Some of the things you might say to yourself are, I'm going to respond to every job posting that's remotely possible, or I just need to get a job, so I'm going to apply to a bunch of things. Or like my stuck perspective, I can only do this. It's what I'm qualified for. Or my friend's doing this. Maybe I should try that. Or looking at job descriptions. It calls for this thing, project management. I can do that. I'm going to go for that. So curious what resonates with you about this and what happens to you when you're in this perspective. Feel free to add some comments in the chat. What does this feel like to you? How do you resonate with this? What happens for you when you are kind of like throwing everything out there and seeing what sticks? Frantic? Yes. Frustrating, overwhelming, lost, don't know where to start. Yep. Anybody else have if I'm looking this way, that's where my chats are. Cast the wide net and get overwhelmed. What am I really qualified for? Everyone else, the competition's too much. Analysis paralysis, anxious, invisible. Yeah, so imposter syndrome, anxious, futile, not qualified for anything because I'm going for everything, deflated. Absolutely. Unfortunately, this is very, very common. And the photo that resonated with me about this is it kind of feels like you're going in circles. I'll try this. Okay, now I'll try this. Okay. And you're kind of going in a roundabout and you're not really getting anywhere. And it feels deflating. It feels dejecting. It feels, and when you're taking actions from that place, now imagine that poll we took and you're rewriting your resume and this is how you're feeling. Or you're preparing for an interview and this is how you're feeling. That's not the most empowering place to be. So the antidote to that I offer up to you is, what do I want? Thinking about what's really important to me. How can I focus in on what I enjoy? Some of the ways to do that are to create more focus. this is the perspective where less is actually more. How can I eliminate some options that really don't resonate with me? How can I really tune in to my strengths, my passions, the skills that I want to use most? This is a place. This is a place where you feel what? What would be the different feeling you would get in this perspective? Nailed it, focusing on specific jobs, and you're feeling more confident. Yay, Melissa, empowered, confident. Yes, it's more meaningful. And what's lighter, less stress, in control. What's really interesting about this perspective is not only do you feel that, but when you create more focus and you're more targeted about what you want, that's actually what you're going to attract more of. So I know a lot of us come from a marketing background. Think about some of the basic marketing tools or strategies that we employ. What happens when you're more specific about your target audience? Your response rate goes up, right? It's the same way here. When you're more focused on what you want, you're going to be attracting more of that. So if you find yourself stuck in, I can do that, switch it up to think, what do I really want? Any final comments on this perspective? If not, I will go to the next one. Okay. The next one is often a very common one that I see, and I call it online job searching is where it's at. It's the spinning wheel of, okay, I've just hit the submit button and now I'm going to wait for the application to actually get there. And what happens in this one is most of your energy is going into this application, is going into this computer, and you're not getting any feedback back. You're not hearing anything. And the perspective that you might be holding when you're really focused on the online process is, wow, these are real live job openings. I have to apply to these because these are real openings that are there. Or you feel really productive because, hey, I've submitted all these applications. And it feels like it's really not that hard. All I have to do now is hit submit and wait for a reply. So what doesn't work for you about this viewpoint? You get ghosted, the resume black hole, you're stealing my thunder, Remy. Tons of applications, tons of calls, lots of ghosting. It feels hopeless because the jobs might not even be real, but hey, let's just try anyway. Absolutely, Nicole. It's really discouraging. Yep, an application without a connection might not be worth it. You see the same posting for months and months and you're wondering, is it really real or is there something wrong with me? You don't really know if the job is a real job or not. So yeah, it's not a really great feeling. And Remy said the big black hole, that's how I describe it. It's the big black hole, it's going down the tubes, it's feeling like you're going, it's really time consuming, it's disappointing, it creates a lot more doubt and lack of confidence, that there's so much competition out there. And so now think back to those steps that you were going to take. If you're feeling this way, and now you go to rewrite your resume or network or talk to someone, how effective are you going to be with that? Right? You think about, well, if this isn't working, maybe I should just change my resume again. And how many of you enjoy writing a resume? I'm in this business and I know I don't like writing resumes. I actually like take a stand and say, I don't write resumes. So it's not a really fruitful perspective to be in. And so my antidote to that is ask yourself how you can connect. It's what this group is all about. It's what Jen models for us so beautifully every single day. If you can actually, now I know that in the age of COVID, it's a little, connecting looks different. But even if you're connecting on Zoom with someone, as these fine ladies are, it's still a two-way conversation as opposed to hitting the submit button on an application. You're not getting any feedback. When you are looking at your search and your situation through connection, how might that switch up your perspective and the actions you take? And what are some things that might feel different for you? Any ideas? Well, for one, I see huge smiles on these ladies' faces. More control, yes. We're all craving connection right now, right? And when I talk about how can I connect, it's not just solely focused on your job search. Connecting with people you know personally or you haven't talked to in a while professionally, and not making it about your job search, that still fills you up. That still opens you up to ideas. Like my example of meeting with that person who was a coach, and I didn't even know what that was. That gave me a new idea that really motivated me to make it happen through a lot of obstacles. So yes, it is difficult to connect with people you don't know. And so my recommendation there is start with people you do know to start to feel more comfortable with creating connections. There are a whole bunch of ways that you can kind of build up that muscle and start to feel the motivation and the love from it. And what I would do is what I would suggest to people who might not be as comfortable picking up the phone or the Zoom link right away is to start with people you know really well. Okay, so what else comes up for you in thinking about creating more connections? Any other comments? So my invitation, you don't want to seem like a burden. Great point, Lisa. So when you're creating connections, it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way thing. It's you have something you can give to that person just as much as they can give to you. You may know ahead of time what that thing might be. You may not. Okay. Julie and I met several months ago through just a, hey, mutual connection, let's get to know each other. Julie was looking for information. I got to tell you, whatever information Julie got, I've gotten back tenfold from the connection that we made. So it can be surprising, and know that connecting is not just about getting, it's also about giving. So yes, people want to help. I missed some of the earlier ones. Oh, thank you, Julie. Every job I've gotten in the last 20 years has been because someone connected me or referred me. Thank you, Kristen. That is my message for you. Most jobs come through connections. And so my invitation to you is whatever your ratio of time spent answering ads and submitting online jobs to connecting with people. I challenge you to flip that ratio. So if you're spending 75% of your time answering ads or scrolling LinkedIn and 25% of your time connecting, I challenge you to flip that and spend 75% of your time connecting with people, even if it's not job search related, because you don't know who these people are connected to. And when you create a genuine connection with them, they will automatically offer an idea to you without you even asking. Employee referrals are also shown to be the #1 source of hire and contribute to higher retention. Absolutely. How do you use connections to pivot careers? Great question. Can you, I think that was Melissa, can you hit pause on that question and we'll answer it in the live Q&A. You've decided that part of your job search strategy is to connect with people you don't know, completely out of your comfort zone. Yay, Jennifer. What is it about that that's motivating to you that you might be able to share with the group? If you have something you can share there, but there are going to be points at which you're not comfortable with it and you find that mutual connection with someone. When you do get a response back, it could lead to a magical connection. Absolutely. And not every connection is going to be the most, wonderful one, but the more you do it, I've created from blind contacts, just blind reaching out to people, I've created lifelong friends. So how can I, moving from online job searching is where it's at, to the perspective of how I connect, how can I connect? I'm getting tongue-tied by my own words. So please do ask more questions about this when we get into the Q&A. It sounds like there's a lot of love for this idea. The third perspective is also one that's been referred to a little bit, and I call it, I'm not in the mood. This is where a high level of avoidance or procrastination shows up. It's when we say, I'm not feeling it today, or I'll just go scroll LinkedIn for a little bit, or get lost on social media, or I'd rather do the dishes. You really know you're in trouble when you'd rather do the dishes, because I don't know anyone who likes that. So what are some of the signs that you notice in yourself that you're stuck in this perspective? That's funny, Jennifer, your husband's pointing at you. All right, so I love that you're resonating with this perspective, but share with me, what are some things that you notice in yourself that tell you you're stuck in, I'm in the mood, I'm not in the mood. Frustrated, sad at not finding anything. The deciding to take a break is a good idea. Angry, moody, nothing feels like a fit, distracted easily. The refrigerator calls you. That's funny, Julie. Not being in action. Absolutely. Whatever you justify, whatever else you're spending time on. A paralyzing feeling, overthinking, overanalyzing. Absolutely. Pretending to be busy is a big one. Working out is a good distraction, but it sounds like that's getting a little much for you, Melissa. Cave and think, I'll just make what I'm doing work. Okay, so you guys are really resonating with this idea of I'm not in the mood, and it is paralyzing, and it is a place that feels really hard to get out of. Okay. And so my offer to you is that there is a simple perspective that will help you start to get out of it. Okay. The bad news is this is a hard perspective. The good news is there is a simple first step that you can take. And that's what I call name it. Okay. How many of you actually have said out loud, OMG, I'm stuck, or I'm doing this because I'm stuck, or I'm noticing that I'm going to the refrigerator all day, or I'm working out too much. So yes, you're noticing it. Yes, you're calling it out. So those of you that are calling it out are yearning for the next step after that. And those of you that aren't even noticing it, this is your first step to name it, out it, say, okay, I'm stuck. All right, now what do I want to do about it? So I have a few simple steps that you can take once you name it. So the first is to notice that you're in that mood, okay? Because you can't shift anything if you don't know you are there. The next is to then call it out, actually broadcast it. I was stuck this summer, and once I started naming it and saying, okay, I'm stuck, and I started telling people I'm stuck, it started to lift, okay? And really important to not beat yourself up about being stuck. Be compassionate with yourself. Say, it's okay. So this summer when I was stuck, I said, okay, I'm stuck. Hey, did you realize there's a pandemic going on? Lots of people are stuck. It's okay. Let's figure out how to get out of this feeling. So if you just beat yourself up about it, you're right back into that disempowering perspective. So be kind and compassionate with yourself, and then find something that can help you switch it up. Okay. Sorry about that. One of you said, oh, I exercise too much. So exercise can be a great way to switch it up. I guess for you, it's too much. It's becoming a distraction. But notice, I do not know how to turn my phone off. Notice what's working for you or what's working against you when you're trying to switch it up. And then take a look at all those things you'd like to do for your job search. Choose something that is motivating, and it's a baby step. Okay, because we're coming out of a pretty stuck place, right? We don't want to take on, I'm going to reinvent myself into a whole, different industry right in this moment. It might be one small step that kind of feeds your motivation. I put the Mel Robbins 5-second rule to practice. Excellent. So give me some perspective, some feedback on this, these steps, and kind of noticing and naming this stuck perspective. What resonates with you about it? What feels hard to you about it? One of the things that I notice is that the minute you do that calling out thing, you're lessening its grip on you. Yay, Marilyn, participating today is your baby step to get engaged again. Love it. Thank you. Don't always know what to do. So thank you for saying that, Jennifer. What I would suggest is when you're looking for what someone else thinks you should do, that's where I would point you to choose this motivating step, something that is interesting, exciting for you, that will get you into action. So when I was stuck this summer, I'm a connector. I love connecting with people. I said, I'm just going to start connecting with people without a particular agenda in mind. And that was something that kind of got me re-engaged in a different way. So It just needs to be resonating with you. It doesn't necessarily need to be on that list of shoulds. Okay, great. Taking a webinar or learning, one thing to get going. Peloton has been a game changer. Love it. Let's see if there was another one. Tell yourself to do one thing to get going. Music, great. So we all have our thing that can help us switch it up and then move toward something we really want. And it all starts with acknowledging where we're at, noticing that, and calling it out. This is the hardest one. And if you're interested in how to move out of this perspective more, I will talk to you about a program that I run a little bit in a few minutes after we have our deeper discussion. So just to recap, we have 3 perspectives that we looked at, and we looked at the antidote to it. The I can do that, to thinking about, well, what do I really want? How can I create focus here? Online is where it's at. How can I connect? How can I have a real live human connection as opposed to this great relationship with my laptop? And the one we've just been talking about, I'm not in the mood. And the first step is to just name it and acknowledge that you're there so that you can then take the next steps to move forward. So to summarize it all, your mindset is really everything. That the perspective you hold impacts your actions. And the actions you take are actually a reflection of your perspective and your view. So it's all coming back to what's going on in your head. What are those things you're saying to yourself? And that's what I hope that you are learning from our short time together today, that if you can start to think about and notice where you're at and maybe how to switch up that mindset, that might get you into a different action. So my question for you, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat, which one of these perspectives are you interested in trying? Focusing on what you really want, how you can connect, or noticing your mood and switching it up. Would love to hear what's resonating with you. Connecting so far, noticing your mood, great, focus. I love that everyone's resonating with something different. That's the point. It's not a have to. Oh, we've got some overachievers here who want to do both, so I love it. So thank you, Lisa. Lisa says, let's be honest, all of them are pretty relatable. I like that you're pushing yourself to something different, Marilyn, thanks. So my challenge to you is to try it out. Just see what different actions you might want to get into when you try a new perspective. I thank you for all of your feedback. And now I'd like to open it up to some discussion and questions. Is there a way? Let's see. I'm going to open my screen to see everybody. And we're going to go off the chat if we can. And I'd love to hear some questions from all of you or comments, if you wouldn't mind unmuting.
Yeah, I'm going to stop the recording right now too. Beryl.
Great.
So
thank you for
so
remembering that, Julie.
This was such a great session, Beryl. All right, hold on.